I wanna be a billionaire, so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had. I wanna be on the cover of Forbes magazine, smiling next to Oprah and the Queen. Oh, every time I close my eyes.
Welcome to the Credit Gal Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We're also streaming live on the web at hometownstation.com. I am your host, Darbe Nokes, and I'm with Mark Figearo.
Got it.
I'm telling you, that name, it's a great name, but it can be mispronounced.
It has been.
It has been mispronounced. Well, welcome to the show, and we're going to talk about solar today.
I'd love to talk about solar.
And obviously, SunPower is on your shirt.
Yes, it is.
And you have been in the solar industry for how long?
Since 2007.
And prior to that,
I've been an electrical contractor for about 35 years.
You know, when I was reading your bio.
Since I was 12.
Since you were 12? Yes, you look so young. I was reading your bio, and you were involved with a church, you know, building a church of some sort with the solar. I was trying to read the Life Church.
Real Life Church.
Okay.
That's actually where my partner and I met.
Oh, wow.
We were on the building committee, and we built the first Gold LEED certified church in America. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design.
I love that.
It's a very efficient building, and we're proud to be a part of it. And
where is that building?
It's right on Newhall Ranch Road in McBean.
In McBean, right
Yes.
here in the
Right in the heart of the Santa Clarita
Valley.
Yes.
We love that. We love that. Well, I know there, you know, I live in Malibu, California. So obviously it's very green there. You know, there's a lot of activists on every corner. And I do have solar for my pool and I have solar for my home. But I did not, when I came in to buy my home, it was already there.
Gotcha.
Okay. And I know that there's so many different ways to buy solar and purchase, or do you lease? And we're going to talk about all those. But first, I'd like to start with, you know, you're the first master dealer in the U.S. and financing is the most important consideration when you go solar. So let's talk about financing and why is financing the most important consideration?
Well, I might argue with that. I shouldn't do that with the host, but
please don't argue with it because that's what Chris wrote on my card.
He miswrote it.
He miswrote it. Okay, well,
but basically, and this is kind of it's a new industry.
Okay.
People don't know what to ask, what to look for.
Okay.
And honestly, a lot of companies are getting away with just selling financing.
Okay.
And I always equate it to going into the car dealership, sitting down with the finance manager, working out the price, and then finding out what you bought. Nobody ever does that.
No.
They look at the product, they say, you know, I want this model with these features. And because solar's so new, everybody really thinks that solar is solar. And I don't have to know what the panel is or who the manufacturer is. You know, the company's saying, oh, you got a 20-year or 25-year warranty. But like all warranties, you know, the devil's in the details. Read the fine print.
Read the fine print on everything. And let's talk about that. When you purchase, you know, a solar system, there are obviously, I'm sure with SunPower, there are different panels, and depending on your home, right? Is it depending on the way your roof is shaped and what is going on in your home and how big your home is? Does it depend on what type of solar?
No, but one of the things that people very often they'll call and say, you know, I have a 3,000 square foot house. How big a system do I need? Square foot is pretty well meaningless. We did a neighborhood with 3 identical houses. Not one system was the same size because one couple worked outside the house, one couple was a family in and out, and one couple worked in and out of their house. So they all had very different usage patterns and amount of power they used, and so we had to specifically design a system based on their needs, not just on
how big their house is.
Cookie cutter, yeah.
But I can promise you, I am educated, Mark, but I can promise you that most people think that.
Right.
Like I thought whatever solar's on my house is not for the usage that I inherited. You know, they were also a family of 4, and I'm a family of 4. But I thought it was because the square footage in my home.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
No, it has nothing to do. It has
Correct.
to do with the usage. And when you talk about that, so give me an example of that. So you go into a home that you look at your electric bill? Like,
Correct.
So, okay.
So we'll typically look at 12 months usage,
Okay.
so we can design a system to provide sufficient power, because as you know, solar doesn't produce the same all year long because the days are short in the winter, sun set low in the sky, so the production's not as high in the winter, it's very high in the summer. So we're trying to match your annual usage with your annual production, so that our goal is at the end of the year you don't have an Edison bill.
I don't have an Edison bill.
You don't have an Edison bill.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I am real excited to continue this conversation. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Credit Go on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.